Yesterday, I made a video and uploaded it on YouTube. It was about Nicki Minaj and the attempt to cancel her from social media because of her questions around COVID-19. And I mentioned some aspects around the coronavirus, and my video was unfortunately deleted from YouTube. Sadly, I tried to appeal because I don't think anything that I said in the video was a conspiracy or was against what's currently available on mainstream media, but my video was deleted nonetheless. And last night on Twitter, there was a Spaces discussion on the tyranny of big pharmaceuticals. It went on for quite long. I think I was on for like an hour, but I realized about 3 hours later they were still discussing. There were some conspiracy theories there, some facts as well, which was quite interesting. And I found myself thinking, and this morning specifically, I was thinking, we need to find a way to mastermind social media, mainstream media, big corporations, huge politicians and world leaders, and other people that have very, very big agendas. I'm not sure if this video is going to get removed or not. I'm hoping for the best. I've been suspended off Facebook quite a few times. In the last 2 years, I've probably been suspended maybe 7 times for 30 days at a time. Initially, I thought it was people that were reporting my content. Then I started realizing that it's algorithms, because some of the things I was getting suspended for wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense for a human being to report. The last suspension I got, I think, was last week or the week before. Someone was joking about a man that was cheating on his wife. And my whole thing was, men are selfish. Why don't you get 2 wives instead of one? And I think the Facebook algorithm picked up men and selfish in my text, and flagged it as hate speech. I can no longer appeal on Facebook. I used to be able to appeal some of their suspensions and stuff, but I can't anymore. So I'm probably on some red flag list, some blacklist on Facebook. So anything I kind of post probably gets flagged. What I've learned over time is that if you misspell certain words on Facebook, if you misspell man, men, woman, women, if you misspell hate, if you misspell racial things, words like kill, suicide, etc., homosexuality, it doesn't pick up. The algorithms are set up to pick up correct spelling. So when the spelling is not correct, the algorithm misses it. However, in the same breath, it means whoever's searching for that type of content won't pick it up because it's misspelled. So one of the ways that we can mastermind the systems that are out there is by misspelling certain words, especially on platforms such as Twitter, especially on platforms such as Facebook. For the first time, I had a Twitter post being deleted because somewhere in my post I mentioned something about suicide and it flagged it. So that post was deleted. It was the first time on Twitter. It's the second time on YouTube that a video is being deleted of mine. The first one was about me speaking about homosexuals and my thoughts around them being alternative. The title was the issue. I realized this now because I've since re-uploaded the video with a different title, and the video is fine. It's available on YouTube. So again, spelling, words, keywords that are flagged by some of these algorithms. And what's important to understand is that these algorithms are driven by global agendas. There are people in the world who have agendas. There's a brilliant interview between a Stanford student and a billionaire called Chamath Palihapitiya, who used to be a Facebook exec. And he speaks about the fact that there are, I think he says 100 men in the world that have their views, these very strong views, and they constantly use very, very various different channels to drive their agendas. These guys infiltrate almost every sphere, aspect of society that you can think of. Last night on Twitter, someone was saying the oil rich guys are no longer powerful. Today, it's the internet, media, tech guys. And I told them that you'd be surprised to find out that it's the oil guys that actually funded the media guys. The Facebooks of this world, the Amazons of this world, the Ubers, the Teslas, these guys get funding from somewhere. And that somewhere is old money. It's old money. Old money has an agenda, and old money comes in and funds these people. You'd be surprised to know that Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, who are the biggest oil-rich nations, are simultaneously the biggest funders of alternative energy. They have the biggest solar farms, wind turbines, hydroelectric plants in the Middle East and around the world. So they are the ones that are going to drive the alternative energy agenda. And when the time is right, they are the ones that are going to decide to switch off from using fossil fuels. That's how it kind of works. In South Africa itself, there's an old Jewish billionaire called Jonathan Bear, huge property tycoon. He's funded guys like Jonathan Liebman, Mark Wachersberger, who are the guys that are behind Maboneng Precinct in Johannesburg, a company called Perpetuity Investments. You can go online and see some of their properties around South Africa. Mark Wachersberger is Capital Hotels, young Jewish bloke who started off by renting out his flat in Sandton and now has a hotel chain. These were funded by old money. You know, Johan Rupert has funded some of the technology initiatives in the Western Cape, Silicon Cape being one of them, via a young guy who went to the same high school as him, Paul Roos Gymnasium. Justin Stanford. You know, I think Vusi Tembegwayo is currently involved in Silicon Cape as well, along with Vinny Lingham, I think is his surname, Indian guy who became a multimillionaire through tech as well. So old money funds some of these new money guys. So you might find that a Mark Zuckerberg, a Jack Dorsey of Twitter, a Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk, you might find that these guys are just figureheads. They're just puppets. They're just faces of bigger agendas at the back. In the same way that South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is being seen as this evil man. But you might find that he's actually got no power. You know, when he made the call, which is arguably the call that led to the killing of miners in Marikana, he was acting on behalf of London Mining, Lonmin, the board. They said, do something, intervene. You know, in the same breath now, Cyril is not the person that came up with the concept of lockdowns. He's not the person that came up with concepts of COVID vaccines and the vaccine passport. He is being sent by the World Health Organization, by the CDC, you know, to drive this we'll call it an agenda, you know, around this pandemic that we have in the world. And America used to be the biggest funder of the WHO. It's since been overtaken by China. Bill Gates, the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation is one of the biggest funders of the WHO. So you find that a lot of these guys are just spokespeople for organizations. I looked at the board of Pfizer last night. I looked at the board of Johnson & Johnson. A board consists of people who are representatives of certain shareholders. These shareholders could be companies that have funding houses, asset management firms, insurance companies, BlackRock, Bill Gross at PIMCO. You know, there's a huge fund in the Middle East, you know, which has bought up shares in Volkswagen, which is the biggest car company in the world. So there are organizations, but there are a few men who have agendas and they have interests. I think Chamath speaks about the Koch brothers, who run the second largest private company in the world, Koch Industries, second after Cargill. You know, their father left them a mammoth of a business and they've grown it to be bigger. But these guys are very passionate about infiltrating the education system. You know, some people are very invested in religion. You know, so some of the ways you have to mastermind the Googles of this world, you know, is by understanding where these people come from, their agendas, and then plugging out of them. What does that mean? It means if you're sending your child to school, your child is being conditioned every single day. What your child thinks are dreams. I want to have a big house. I want to have a beautiful family. I want to have a nice car. I want to work for a big company, for example. I want to live overseas. I want to live in New York or Tokyo or Switzerland. These are ideas that are implanted at a school level. Every textbook they read, every teacher they engage is telling them, you are so smart, you should become a doctor. You are so smart, you should become a scientist, an engineer, an accountant. Because these are set systems. Accountants, for example, have to follow GARP and international accounting standards. You know, if you're a doctor, you have to abide by the medical board in South Africa and the World Health Organization. If you're an engineer, the same. You know, if, for example, you're a pastor of a religious faction, there are big bodies, you know, whether in the Vatican or elsewhere, there are big bodies that decide what type of content needs to be rolled out in the churches. And if you deviate, like a Joshua Maponga in South Africa, and you start speaking about African spirituality and how the church is wrong, you get flagged and you get cancelled. You know, so there are people with agendas, and when you send your kids to school, when you send your kids even to church, the type of content that your children are watching on television, the type of influences that are priming their minds, the Somizis, the Bonangs, the Boities, overseas, the Kardashians, you know, some of these rappers that are making a lot of money, they are priming them to support certain industries and initiatives and certain ideologies. You know, Kanye West today hides behind being mentally ill, and he's now hiding behind religion with Jesus as Lord, so that he can carry on pushing certain agendas like being off the grid, you know, for example, hiding in his invisible cloak, you know, because there are people with agendas, as I'm saying. So that's very important. Number one, misspelling is very, very important. Number two, the rappers and the drug dealers have for many years used slang. You know, if you speak about Mary Jane, you know, you speak about marijuana, you speak about dacha, you speak about weed, you speak about cannabis, but you call it Mary Jane or the holy herb. You know, they use that in rap lyrics and it picks up. You know, certain drugs have got other names that are linked to them, that are slang, that are linked to like mainstream ideas and products, and a normal person listening wouldn't understand the codes being used. So I think even for something like the coronavirus or COVID-19, the fact that I'm mentioning now means algorithms are going to pick up these words. But if we had another code for them, the virus or the virus or the V, you know, if you think of a movie like V for Vendetta, brilliant movie about the agendas of people that roll out biological warfare, get people sick so that they can in turn then turn around and offer some kind of solutions, etc. You know, call it the V, for example, you know, so come up with code names. Secret societies have always existed, and I think you cannot build a secret society online because there's so many technology companies that pick up some of these things. There's the dark web that is being tracked. Donald Trump, as someone that we thought was so powerful, was cancelled. His social media platforms were deleted. So again, it's a reminder, like Cyril, like I said, like some of these boards, some of these people are just puppets, you know. And if they're not pushing a certain agenda of people at the back, they will be removed. You know, there are conspiracy theories now about certain world leaders who weren't conforming to the requirements of the V pandemic. There's arguments of them being assassinated, being removed, falling sick, etc. So it's pretty sad. The capitalist agenda is very strong. One of the ways to fight it is to not need. That means unplugging from money, eating less food, not wearing clothing, becoming like a chimpanzee in Planet of the Apes. You know, a very cool idea that I came up with this morning is this idea of human zoos, human conservation sites. The same way we're trying to save the rhino, save the pandas. I think we need to create spaces where we are saving human beings and we are keeping them from being contaminated by the world outside. You know, I think that would be a really, really cool idea, and making sure that people live like animals and they can be plugged out from the system. This video is almost at 15 minutes. I wanna cut it off at 15 minutes because then it allows me to upload on Instagram as well. So I'm gonna cut it off and I'll probably make another one soon. But I want you to think about this idea of masterminding big corporations out there and the people that run the world. The reason why the people in the past struggled is because they didn't have weapons. So as much as we maybe want to go back to living like cavemen, we will need technology, information, and a lot of weapons and a lot of infiltrating systems to be able to fight. This is Penny, the Black Pen. Love you guys very much, and I'll chat to you guys again very soon. I hope this video doesn't get taken down, but I will upload it on Instagram as well. Can't upload on Facebook because I've currently been suspended, but we'll see how we get some of these messages out. I love you guys very much. Keep it strong. We all want to win. We all want to be happy. We all want to have inner peace. Cheers.